Joaquin Mendoza, a Spanish blogger with millions of followers, stood outside the royal palace holding a glass of iced coffee. The camera was live, and thousands of viewers were chatting. Do it already. In front of him, motionless as a statue, stood Guardsman Alejandro Ruiz. Tall, stern, perfectly aligned. It was as if he didn't notice the cameras or the tourists. This guy thinks he's a king? Joaquin grinned, stepping forward. Let's see if he's real or fake. The crowd held its breath. The guardsman had no right to react, but Joaquin wanted to test the limits. He swung and threw the glass right in the soldier's face. But in the same instant, the impossible happened. Ruiz's hand flew up with lightning, and he caught the glass in midair without spilling a drop. The crowd gasped. The comments in the chat room froze. Oh, shit, Joaquin muttered, stepping back. The guardsman took a step forward. That was enough. The coldness in his voice was stronger than the ice in a glass. The crowd in front of the royal palace buzzed like a beehive. Tourists snapped their cameras. Children poked their fingers at the guardsmen, and tour guides said the same thing. Guardsmen never react. Not to anything. Alejandro Ruiz stood at his post, straight as a statue. Tall, sturdy, with an unwavering gaze, the epitome of discipline. His scarlet uniform shone in the morning sun, his medals reflected the light, and his boots could be mistaken for mirrors. He saw everything, without even moving his eyes, and he already knew something was wrong. The crowd began to move differently. Cameras appeared. People were whispering. At the center of it all walked Joaquin Mendoza, a Spanish blogger with millions of followers. Tall, cocky, with his trademark smirk. Behind him, two friends, cameramen filming everything. We're going to have content, guys. Joaquin announced loudly, his voice echoing across the plaza. Ruiz didn't move. This guy really doesn't move, does he? Grinned the blogger, coming closer. Like a mannequin. He stood in front of the guardsman, tilted his head to the side, and snapped his fingers theatrically in front of his face. Ruiz didn't blink. Hey, is he alive? He pretended to recoil in fright. The crowd murmured. Some giggled, but most weren't laughing anymore. There was something wrong about it. Okay, let's check it another way. Joaquin pulled a napkin from his pocket, crumpled it up, and threw it at Ruiz's feet. Ruiz didn't move. Did you see that? Shrieked the blogger, turning to the camera. No reaction. A real statue. But the crowd wasn't laughing anymore. The tourists were looking at him differently. Someone muttered, "Will you stop it?" Cheeky. But Joaquin paid no attention. He lived for likes, for views, for adrenaline. He knew the further he went, the more people would see this broadcast. Okay, guys. He reached for his friend. Give me my coffee. The crowd tensed. Ruiz didn't move. But inside he already knew. The line would be crossed right now. The coffee glass clinked deafeningly in Joaquin's hand. Ice cubes clinked inside, and droplets of condensation dripped down the plastic casing. He turned to the camera and smirked. All right, guys, time to test the king's discipline. The crowd quieted down. People were looking at him differently. Someone pulled out their phone, but no longer for fun, but to capture the blogger crossing the line. But Joaquin didn't see those stares. All he saw was his chat room, flooded with comments. Do it. Don't piss, he won't move. Pour coffee, let him get mad. He turned to the guardsman, stepping even closer. What? Statue, even that won't hurt you. Ruiz didn't move. You must be hot in that coat, huh? Joaquin took a demonstrative sip. Don't you want to freshen up? The crowd tensed. Two tourists stepped back fearfully. A family with children stepped aside. But the blogger didn't notice. He opened the lid of the glass. The ice cubes jingled. Oh, that's even better. Joaquin grinned. The campers were whispering in a different way now. Too much. He's finished. The guards might detain him. But the blogger couldn't stop. He couldn't hear the words. He could only hear the chat. Weak? Are you scared? Lay, come on. Get a close-up of the reaction. Okay, people. Here's what we're going to do. Joaquin licked his lips, his face burning with excitement. Either he gives up, or we're going to see if he can swim. He raised the glass higher. The crowd sucked in air. But Ruiz already knew what was going to happen. And when the blogger's hand went into a swing, the impossible happened. The guardsman moved. With inhuman speed, his arm swung upward, and he caught the glass in midair at the very moment the coffee was about to spill out. Not a drop fell. The crowd exploded with shouts. What? Did you see that? He caught it like a ninja. The blogger froze. Panic flashed in his eyes. He hadn't expected this. Ruiz slowly lowered his hand with the glass. His eyes were now looking directly at Joaquin. The guardsman took a step forward. This is enough. The voice was as icy as the coffee in the glass. The crowd exploded. Did you see that? How did he do that? That's some kind of special forces. Hundreds of eyes were fixed on Ruiz. He held the glass as if it wasn't coffee, but evidence in an investigation. Joaquin froze, his face turning white. Had expected anything: indifference, security, even a fine. But he hadn't expected the guard to catch him on the fly. He didn't know what to do. Ruiz took a step forward. The hum in the crowd subsided. The blogger backed away instinctively. The cameras were still filming, but now the broadcast had changed. The chat no longer said, "Lay coffee." Now it said, "Bro, run. You fucked up. The police will be here soon." Joaquin swallowed, trying to regain his confidence. He squeezed out a strained smile and held up his hands, pretending it was just a joke. Buddy, no offense, okay? It's just content." Ruiz didn't blink. His eyes took in the blogger, and there was no anger or rage in them. Just cold discipline. Like he'd already decided how this was going to end. The crowd sensed it. Everyone froze. Joaquin stuttered. Ruiz moved forward another step. Joaquin took a step back. "Okay, that's enough. I was kidding." The guardsman slowly, with measured precision, picked up the glass and turned it labeled toward the blogger. The paper case clearly read, H. Mendoza. His name. The crowd gasped. Ruiz tilted his head slightly, making it clear, "Your antics are now officially on record." Joaquin felt a cold sweat running down his back. Shit, he exhaled. Something stirred behind him. A palace guard, a tall man in a dark uniform, was emerging from the crowd. Eyes like Ruiz's. Calm. Dangerous. "Mr. Mendoza." Joaquin turned sharply. Run? Apologize? Pretend it was a prank? But all the cameras were already filming his fear. His own failure loomed over him. The crowd froze. Joaquin realized there was no way out. In front of him stood Ruiz, motionless, but now with absolute power over the situation. Behind him, a security guard, massive, confident, ready to take the blogger under his arms. There are hundreds of tourists with their phones around. Every movement, every sound is now forever online. Joaquin felt a sense of panic. Had always been the one running the show, but now the show was running him. "Look, it's just a joke." He held up his hands, trying to laugh. "It's just content. No one got hurt, right?" Ruiz watched in silence. Still standing straight, perfect, but now there was something more in his gaze. A mute judgment. "You made your choice. Now look what came of it." The crowd rumbled. "A joke? You just threw coffee at a soldier. This is the Royal Guard, you idiot. This is not a circus. Arrest him." Joaquin swallowed. He hadn't expected such a reaction. Had come for the likes. Now he was getting hate. Some of the tourists were already uploading the video to Twitter. One of the onlookers turned to the security guard. "I have the footage from the beginning." The guard nodded. "It's an assault. It's like being hit over the head with a shoe." Joaquin inhaled sharply. "Wait, assault? No. I was just..." Radio clicks. "Prepare a patrol." That's it. Joaquin turned pale. His friends quietly stepped back, pretending not to care. The crowd surrounded him as if he were already a criminal. In his own chat room, they wrote, "You're screwed. You're banned from entering the country. Career over." And that's when Ruiz moved. He reached up, picked up the glass with his name on it, and dumped the ice at his feet. Tossed the empty glass into the trash can without a word. A simple, silent demonstration. "You're not even worthy of these ice cubes." The crowd erupted in applause. Joaquin covered his face with his hands. He had lost. The crowd applauded, but Joaquin heard nothing. The blood rumbled in his ears. His hands were sweating. His head was spinning. How did this happen? He had gone to the plaza for content, and now he stood in front of hundreds of people, ridiculed, humiliated, helpless. His friends had disappeared into the crowd, leaving him alone. The phone in his hand was still broadcasting, but the comments... He couldn't read them. "Dude, you're ruined. Don't come to Spain again. We're ashamed of you. You think the Queen won't see this video?" The click of the radio. The patrol was on its way. Joaquin popped his head up. The guard stood calmly beside him, but in his eyes he read the final verdict. "Mr. Mendoza, you'd better wait here for the police." Police. Arrest. Criminal record. Joaquin couldn't let that happen. No. 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 Wait. He started backing away like a hunted animal. This is just a misunderstanding. It's a prank. No one was listening. The guard moved toward him. Joaquin turned and dashed through the crowd. Hey! Someone yelled. Stop him. The crowd parted. He ran. Hands jostled to the sides, phones were filming, voices were shouting, but he couldn't hear them. Palace Square. Huge gates. Where's the exit? Where? And then there was a rumble. Bam! A sharp blow to the chest. Joaquin fell backwards. The world shook. The stone floor. The men above him. Their faces contorted with surprise, judgment, and gloating. He couldn't breathe. Ruiz stood above him. The guardsman didn't move, but his boot rested clearly against Joaquin's chest. It wasn't a blow, not aggression. Just a clear, iron barrier. You're not getting through. The crowd went numb. The guard caught up with them, leaning over the blogger. You attacked a royal guard, then tried to escape. This isn't just a prank anymore. Click of handcuffs. Click of cameras. The live feed was still going. Hundreds of thousands of viewers saw the police pick him up, clasp his hands, and lead him away. He didn't need to read the chat room. He already knew what it said. The end.